your results on their own organizations, communities, jobs, etc. Finally, you have the last stage of the marketing funnel, which is the one that we're all looking for, which is the conversion phase. Is when your stakeholders and your target audiences actually become advocates of your project, when they defend your project because they have used your results, they saw that they work, so they are actually now another voice of your project who is explaining what are the benefits of using the results that you have produced. This is the final and, of course, the ideal stage that we all want to reach. One important thing to have in mind for the communication strategy, as I said, because you will have and you should adapt it throughout the project, you should always be 2 steps ahead. So we know that some projects are really technical, and for communication partners, but also for other partners, it's quite difficult to understand what's going on. So if you keep having meetings, discussions with your projects coordinator, with your projects partners, if you are aware of what is happening, then when a partner tells you, we have a result that we would like to promote in 2 weeks, because it will be released in 2 weeks, we need a communication campaign. You are already prepared because you have been discussing that campaign for a while now with your project's partner. So that's important, so that you can start creating some buzz around that campaign, and you have actually some time to prepare something with quality. Okay, so during the communication plan, as I told you, one of the things that we should do is identifying our target audiences. So in theory, this is already done during the proposal stage, but from the proposal stage until the moment the project is accepted, things can change. So your idea, your vision of who your target audiences are and what they need might change. So the communication partner, but all the partners in general, have a really big role on this. You should start by, in the communication plan, segmenting your target audiences. So are they researchers? Are they decision makers, policy makers, HR specialists? Who are they? You have to make these segmentations to make your lives easier. And then you also have to start thinking about, what do these target audience think and do? What do you want to provoke in them? And for that, a really nice exercise that I find it quite useful in the world of marketing and communication is to create personas. So personas are these not real people, but that represent your target audience, and you try to give them really specific features so that you can have a clear vision to whom you're speaking to. So, for example, you should create a persona by trying to understand what could be their age, their level of education, where they live, what are their goals, what are their personal motivations, their personal frustrations, but also the frustrations and fears that they have towards the topic that you tackle in your project. And also, where can you find these people? In which social media channels can you find them? What search channels do they use? So that once you start creating specific communication actions, you already know exactly where to find your target audiences. So now with the communication plan created, it starts the fun part, the creative part. And the first thing that you need to do is to create a strong visual identity for your project. So this means that you should create a logo, and the logo doesn't need to be something complex. It should be something that clearly reflects your project's mission, but it should be simple, easy to understand, easy to apply in different materials as well. And you should also choose a color palette, and you should stick to that color palette until the end of the project. So by the middle of the project, don't start using a yellow when during the visual identity stage you haven't considered that color. And this is important because if you bring some color psychology mindset to your visual identity, each color that you use will clearly convey what are the mission and values of your project. So if it's connected to sustainability, you should use green. If you want to build trust, then blue might be a good suggestion. So there is always a concept, or there should always be a concept, creative concept behind the visual identity that you create. And then you can put all of that together in a brand book. And this brand book should always be available to all the consortium partners so that every time they create their own materials to promote the project, they know the rules, they have the guidelines on how to use it. So you make their lives simpler. And then you can also create templates, for example, PowerPoint templates. So every time a project partner goes to an event to represent the project, can have materials to use it with its visual identity. Same for social media channels. When you have an event that you want to promote, you already have a template associated with events that you can use right away. So it makes your daily lives easier. Then I don't know if it's possible to play this video, but okay. So once we start speaking about the digital channels that we want to create, use in our project, the website is probably one of the most important. It's the place where people can find right away everything that they want about our projects. Here I present an example of the AI for Media project. It's already finalized. It's part of the AIOD community. I thought it would be a good example of a dynamic website. But the first tip that I would like to give you about this actually is a website takes some time to develop. So let's say it takes you 6 months from the beginning of the project to develop it. You, by the second month of the project, already want to have something online about it, because maybe you are already interacting or engaging with people, wanting to explain what is this project about. So if you still don't have a website developed, why not having just a basic landing page available with the main mission, the main messages of the project, the main goals, just to have the most important information about the project online. So it gives you time to prepare and develop something with quality, which will be then the website. And the website should have some features, some basic features to make the whole experience nicer for the user. So first of all, it should be easy to navigate. Mainly if we're talking to many different target audiences in our project, we don't know exactly, or we can know if we make that exercise properly in the beginning, but they might have different ways of interacting and engaging with technology. So the website should be easy to use by anyone. It should be user-friendly. It should be easy to find what they're looking for. You should also create a mobile-friendly version. Of course, mainly nowadays, most of us access websites to our phones, so it should be mobile-friendly. And you should keep updating it with news, with articles, with results. So don't publish a piece of news in the beginning of the project, in the first month, and then spend 6 months without publishing anything, because that makes it look like you are not producing things in your project, that you are not updating what you have already developed on your own websites. So it gives a more professional look to your website if you keep uploading new things. We know that in the beginning of the projects, we usually don't have many results to produce. This is a moment when you could try to be creative. For example, my project is about bias. I have Zero Discrimination Day coming soon. So I can ask a partner to create an article about this day and connect it to the topic of the project. So there are these simple ways of keep feeding your digital channels, even without having many results to promote at the moment. Other things, so you should also have a section dedicated to the resources that you create, to your fact sheets, your deliverables, your results. Try to put them together in a well-organized place, like a sort of resources library, something that is easy to access as well. And have places in your website to engage with your community. Have a place there for them to subscribe to the newsletter. Have a simple contact form through which people can contact you. Make sure that you have ways of making this engagement with the community available. Then, about social media. Sometimes I feel like I could spend 1 hour speaking about social media, mainly because things are changing so fast. So probably what I will say today maybe won't be applied in a few months. But today here I present a table with some suggestions of social media channels that you can use, or digital channels that you can use for different purposes. For example, and this is how fast things change. I don't even have here Blue Sky, which is coming as an alternative to X. So every month, me and my team, and I advise you to do the same, you should be aware of what are the current trends, problematics around social media. Is it safer to stop posting things on this social media channel? is this one not efficient anymore because people are not using it anymore? Also, of course, this depends on your target audiences. So the first thing, as usual, is to know, well, your target audiences and what channels they use. After that, and during the communication plan, you select your social media channels. Don't be afraid of changing them throughout the project if things are not working. We tried, for example, to create a Telegram community in one of the projects. It didn't work. That's okay. We don't need to keep feeding it and having ghosts there that do not reply, that do not interact, do not engage, because this is showing a message. It's showing that people are not that interested in that community about that topic in that channel. So also try to create specific content for each channel. What you write on LinkedIn shouldn't be the same as what you write on X. Also because you can write more things on LinkedIn than you can write on X because you have a limitation of text there. So just be aware that also in each social media channel, you will find different people. So the key messages to convey in each channel should also be different. Also engage regularly. The algorithm loves when we keep feeding it, when we keep uploading content. Of course, you don't need to spam people, but let's say 3 posts per week. If your project has some good results, it's in a good stage and has a lot to show, it's a number, it's an okay number. Then use hashtags and trends and be aware of what are the current trends connected with the topic of your project. If you can turn them into a nice video, a nice animation, you are already feeding in a more customized and segmented way the content that you are publishing on your social media channels. Also, be aware that you should put a budget aside to invest on paid campaigns on social media. It's normal that only organic results do not bring a lot of success to our social media channels. Sometimes you need to pay to reach a higher number of people to let them know, hey, we exist, this might be interesting for you. Check our social media channels, check our project, our website, our events. So sometimes there is this need of investing this money. It's a well-invested money as long as you create a proper strategy for these paid campaigns. And as long as you segment these campaigns very, very well. Also, don't forget there are many ways, many formats that you can use to deconstruct the heavy technical content that you have in your project into something that is accessible for everyone. So don't forget that more than the researchers that we want to reach, the industry leaders, we're also trying to show to the community in general, to the general public, how our project can change the community and their lives. So everything that you produce, everything should be accessible by anyone. So this means that if you have a very technical deliverable that you have just submitted, it has been approved, it's a public deliverable, you can and should think of ways to make it accessible and, let's say, sexier to people. So you can create, let me see if I can put the video, okay. So you can create videos, engaging videos, which turn some data visualization into something sexier. So as you can see, we try to invest in a good script with a clear, simple, and concise message, while acquiring a professional voiceover to make the video more professional, and using logos, icons, visual elements to make it funnier, to make it more appealing, and to make it easier to understand. And you can and should do the same for fact sheets, for infographics. So you have a deliverable with a lot of numbers, statistics. Try to create an infographic with some images, with some graphs, to convey the message that you want to promote through your deliverable. Also, you can do the same for social media, of course, by providing animations, reels that really explain these technical results. Okay. And then never forget to use storytelling in all these materials that you create. Storytelling is about telling the story in a way that makes people get attached, stick to what you are saying. So you can do this by being open, by showing that a project is not something that is being done in this bubble, closed bubble, only by researchers. No, there are real people behind it, people from all the sectors. So try to share testimonials of partners. Try to record videos with the partners where they explain what they're doing. For example, we have just created a video by the end of previous year. We have asked each work package leader to record in a video, to explain in a video what will be their resolutions for the new year. So you are doing something really simple. It's just talking about what are the wishes that you have for your own work package for next year, but you are giving a face to it. You are putting the partners speaking, and it's easier for our stakeholders to connect with our project if they see human faces, if they see people talking about what they're doing. Show behind the scenes of events, of activities. Also be real in the sense that you should show the testimonials of your stakeholders. So your stakeholder has left a really good feedback about this result that he or she has used. Then try to leverage from that feedback, share that feedback, ask that stakeholder if we can create an article out of it to upload on the website. So there are ways of being closer to our communities and sharing the feedback that they are giving us about our own project. And finally, be empathetic. So, for example, on social media, don't have messages to be replied. Always have someone who replies to the comments that are being made, to the messages that are being sent. If you had a stakeholder sharing a post and tagging your project, repost that publication and make sure that you are keep engaging with them. If someone has sent you an email through the website, try to reply as soon as possible. Try to have one-on-one meetings with your stakeholders if they ask you to do so. Other aspect that I found really important is to make everything that you do inclusive and accessible. And it is possible to do that in all these materials that I'm sharing here today. So for example, on our websites, we usually use this plugin called UserWay that slightly adapts your website according to some conditions. So for example, you can have a higher line height, you can put your website dyslexia friendly. So it's a really nice, useful plugin. It's quite easy to integrate it in the website, so you can make it more accessible. But you can already make it more accessible from the beginning if you create a website that is simple to navigate. And then this plugin will only be a plus. Also make sure that if possible, you translate the contents that you do. I know that this is not always possible, does not apply to all the projects, but when possible, try to translate your results at least in the different languages that you have in your own consortium. Or try to create videos with subtitles in the different languages to make them more accessible. Also, while creating the visual identity of your project, make sure that once you choose a color palette, the colors have high contrast to make them easier to be identified. Choose a font that is readable. So there are many details that at the end they make the whole difference. Something that sounds basic, but it's actually really important in our work is to keep monitoring, keep analyzing the performance of your channels, of your communication channels. I have here, for example, a tool that we are using called Looker Studio. This is a Google tool that provides you with daily statistics about the performance of your social media channels and of your website. So every day you can have a clear vision of how your channels are behaving. And this is really nice because then you can keep adapting your strategy accordingly. Also, you should keep tracking the KPIs that you have listed in the communication plan. If you have achieved those KPIs by the middle of the project, don't be afraid of then coming up with higher KPIs as long as they're measurable and they are reachable. So don't be afraid of keep doing more and better. And then keep monitoring also what the other partners of the consortium are doing. The process can be as simple as an Excel sheet where you ask monthly of your partners to fill in that sheet with the dissemination and communication actions that they have developed so far. So it's a really simple process. And then try to build synergies with other projects, not only with your sister projects, but create a list at the beginning of your project. Try to map the projects that are tackling the same topics as you do and that are reaching similar target audiences, and start having regular meetings with them. Try to understand what they do and vice versa. Create joint collaborations. For example, you have one project which will organize a similar workshop than yours to a similar target group. Why not joining both? Why not creating these joint synergies? And also share best practices, research practices like we were doing right now in our workshops in the morning. So these are ways of making sure that what you are doing is actually, again, not only being done inside your own bubble, but it's being shared with other bubbles, with other projects. Then build relationships with media. This is not only about sending a press release to a big number of journalists, it's actually about trying to select the journalists from media outlets that clearly are interested and that clearly tackle the topics that you address in your project, and send them one-on-one proposals with specific suggestions. I see that I'm already running out of time. With specific suggestions and invitations. For example, I have this topic that is being tackled in my project. It's related with this current problematic or trends. Would you be interested in having an interview with my coordinator? Something as simple as that. And you can also ask your partners to translate these press releases and send them through their own local media outlets. And you can use tools like Agility to create and distribute these press releases, and Cision that monitors the places, the media outlets where your information, your press release has been promoted. I'm almost over. Then you should organize impactful, interactive events. I'll just give you an example of something that we did recently, also for the BIAS project. So we wanted to show to people how AI technology is used in recruitment worked. So they were based in machine learning. So machine learning, we connect them with black box. Black box, we built a real black box in the event. So we asked participants to enter in this black box. Inside the black box, they will be able to read 3 cover letters from 3 different job candidates, and they would have to leave that black box with the candidate selected. Pretty much, they should do pretty much what an AI technology does in recruitment. So this sounds really simple, but it's already a way of changing the format of your participation in an event. And finally, ensure the sustainability of your communication, not only by, and you should maintain your website active for at least 5 years after the project is over, but make sure that while the project is active, you are uploading your resources in more places than your own website. Research papers, Zenodo, assets in Adra, in AI Alliance platform, also leverage from the tools of the Commission, Cordis, the recently launched Core Discovery podcast, the Horizon Results Booster. So there are many tools from the Commission that you can and should use to make sure that you keep your communication alive even after the project is over. And to really finalize, other way that we presented today of keeping your project sustainable is using the AI on-demand platform. So I won't have time to present our services today, but you will hear already quite a lot about AIOD in the next today and tomorrow as well. And we have many communication and dissemination services that we can provide you to make sure that we will keep your project being promoted not only throughout this duration, but even after it's finalized. So you can upload your assets there, your events, your news. You just have to make a communication request through a form that is available on our platform, and we will assess that request and create a strategy and a campaign to promote it in our several channels, which have a really high reach. So that's it. I had a couple more slides, but I won't be able to present them, so I will just be over. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I will be here during the coffee break and also tomorrow, so just feel free to speak with me. I'm all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Joana. Now it's time for our second breakout sessions with more clusters. Like the slide. Next slide. Thank you. Anyway, so this time we have 3 clusters of project plus one more specific theory, AI on Edge, in room 4. Then we have AI for human empowerment, green data bridge cluster, and green deal cluster in this theater. So this is until 3:30, sorry, 15:30. Yes. Thank you. And then we have a 30-minute coffee break, and then all end up here for the closing session. This is all the project managers that we've seen in the day. So thank you, and please join whichever role you want and prefer to follow.
So I'm ready to talk one more question. Yes. I don't know, you tell me. You also yes. Pues la mira, ¿sabes qué? Ahora. Caminar, ¿vale? Yeah.
Going down.
For your panel, you have a panel, right? So
Yeah. Okay, so start or? Yeah. Okay. ¿Quieres explicar un poco?
Hello, everyone. Okay, thank you for coming. We will start this vertical feather workshop. In this case, We want to start with a question, which is green optimization a must-have or just a nice-to-have for the industry? As industries across Europe navigate the challenge of balancing sustainability with competitiveness, the role of green optimization has never been more critical. In this session, we bring together the civil projects funded under the same thought that use cutting-edge digital technologies to drive sustainability across European industries and working towards the European Union Green Deal objectives. Despite working on different sectors, these projects share a common goal, which are improving efficiency and reducing energy and water consumption, CO2 emissions, and waste, while ensuring the industries remain competitive. For that, before starting with all the different presentations, we wanted you to join this slide and answer this question, which is, do you think sustainability is a driver for cost reduction? So if you could please vote on that. And we will see afterwards if your perception has changed or if it remains the same. Okay, so far we have got, thank you. It seems that there are different opinions here. Mainly, most of you agree, some of you disagree. We will see if your perception changes after we have these nice presentations. To start off, and we don't take this slide, thank you. Sorry. We will start with DARROW project, which addresses water treatment challenges. And we will have Luis Vitores Valcárcel, who is a researcher and educator based in San Sebastián, Spain, specializing in computational biology and bioinformatics. He holds a bachelor's degree in industrial technologies and a master's degree in biomedical engineering, and he has earned his PhD in computational biology from the University of Navarra in 2022. Please, if you come, we will start with this project presentation.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Well, I'm Luis Valcárcel, and I'm going to present our European project, DARROW. Here is a little spoiler on how are going to be all the presentations. And DARROW stands for driving the future of water resource and recovery facilities through data intelligence. Our sector, as we have explained, is wastewater treatment plants, and the duration of the project is 42 months, and we are 8 partners. Several of us research centers, as said, several universities, several engineering consultancies, and a final user / client, which is going to be the demonstration plant of our project, which is DOME. Or why the project? Nowadays, or each year, we are having a stricter water treatment legislation. In the slide, I have an example. Last year, in November, we had the latest European law about wastewater treatment, and each year we are required to return the water with greater quality to the environment. Decades ago, there was almost zero regulation, and each year it's increasing. Not only that, but in the last decades, we have also switched, instead of just treating the water and just returning the less amount of pollutants possible, we have also switched our efforts not only to that, but to recover resources from wastewater treatment, from the wastewater. Not only that, but the final part is that it's not only that we want to apply the law, but in Europe we think that returning clean water to the environment is not only legislation and to avoid external costs, but also because it's a moral obligation just to the planet, to future generations, and to ourselves, to the society. Until now, most of the research that has been done up to date, there is a problem that there is a bridge, a wall between the real world, the operators, the wastewater treatment plants, in which they have real measurement, they are operating, they have to deliver clean water according to the legislation, and there is us, the scientific, the researchers, in which we have usually all data, offline data, not real time. We're able to develop how optimizers on how to work better the plant, how to deal with several pollutants, how to optimize the process. But usually we're working with mechanistic models in a computer that are not applicable to the real world because we lack these real-time strategies. To solve that, in DARROW, what we aim is to develop digital twins plants that allow us to get together both researchers and the solution that we are developing and the real-time, the wastewater treatment plant real-time operator. To do so, in a wastewater treatment plant, we have thousands of measurements at a time with sensors. We also have lab samples that we take daily, but usually these measurements are not the complete picture of how a wastewater treatment plant is working because there are lots of hidden variables that we cannot see both in the lab or both with sensors because it's part of the intrinsic part of the internal processes inside of a wastewater treatment plant. Thanks to the digital twin and using all the measurements that we obtain, we can use advanced monitoring to know how the plant is indeed working. We can use an scenario analysis to know if the plant is or can deal with future weather. For example, more rain, more dry weather, more pollutants. Is our plant currently able to deal with that, or do we need to prepare the plant for that? Also, we can use recommendation system. We can try to obtain the same water quality, but wasting less energy. And finally, our main objective in the long term is to use a closed loop, so we can just always ensure the highest quality possible of the effluent water with the minimum required energy consumption for the power grid. To do so, we have used a pilot plant of Tilburg, operated by Vanden, which is one of the largest wastewater recovery facilities in the Netherlands. Here is a canvas of what we want to obtain. As I have said, each year we have a stricter regulations. Clearer water or more quality in the water means higher cost of the energy because we need to use more air for the biomass in the wastewater treatment plant to eat everything that is polluting the water. We need more chemicals. That means more money, but at the same time, more energy, more chemicals is not sustainable. So our solution with aims is to use AI and data-driven solutions in order to reduce this amount, to optimize the plant, in order to reduce the required energy and the required chemicals to obtain same or even better results that we are obtaining at the moment. In order to do so, we are developing a recommendation system and a reinforced learning agent to control how to treat the water in the secondary line, but all these solutions also need to be accepted by the operators in the plants. That's why one of the important keys in our project is also to develop simulators in order to train all the operators that are working in domain to use all the recommendation systems that we are developing. In the project, what we aim is to reduce the energy consumption by 20%. to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by 20%. The sludge generation, which then needs to be taken to a landfill, by 50%, and the inorganic chemical compounds by 50%. All of that at the same time, we want to increase energy generation by biogas generation by 50%, increase the nitrogen recovery from the wastewater by 50%, by 5%, sorry, and also increase the biophosphorus recovery by 50%. Along the project, we are facing several challenges. One of them, as I have explained, is the operator. In order to solve that and to have their acceptance on the beginning of the project, they have been involved in the definition of all the KPIs and advanced monitoring that we need in the plant. Also, we have developed all the simulators for the training. Now we are also dealing with cybersecurity issues because wastewater treatment plants are a critical infrastructure. So we need to ensure that there is no cyber attacks in the solutions that we are implementing. And last but not least, all the monitoring of the variables that we can measure, all the sensors, there is always the trade-off between the cost of the sensor and the benefit that we can from them. As you can imagine, we are not dealing in the infant. Clean water is wastewater is dirty, so the sensors need to be good enough to being able to not to break apart or to being able to truly measure what they need to measure a long time. Those are more expensive sensors, but it's a trade-off between sensors that we use and the benefit we bring with them. And one of the things that we are trying to obtain with the DARROW solution is to develop a series of methods that can be used in different wastewater treatment plants along Europe, not just in bigger ones as is Tilburg. So the lessons that we have learned along the project is the necessity to standard and the amount of data and the quality of data that we're using. We cannot use or we cannot implement data-driven solutions if we don't have if we don't have enough data or enough quality in the data. And the final user. As always, any AI solution needs to be accepted and needs to aid the final user, not to be something that is imposed, but something that is going to help him to better perform or better do their job, in this case, to deliver cleaner water to the environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luis, for this nice presentation and for giving wastewater the importance that it needs to have. Water is not an infinite resource, so we need to treat it accordingly. Next, we will have ALCHIMIA, which focuses on the green optimization of the metallurgy sector. For that, we have Carmen Perea, who holds a technical degree in computer science and a master's degree in research on software engineering. She also holds a PMP project management certification. In the 2000s, she joined Atos and worked in the insurance sector as a functional analyst working on projects for relevant Spanish insurance companies. Since 2009, she has worked on the BDS R&D team and has participated in several research and innovation projects, such as this one, which she coordinates, and also has been working as an external evaluator for the European Commission. So please, Carmen, go ahead.
Okay, let's start with ALCHIMIA. ALCHIMIA is a decentralized artificial intelligence for a competitive and green European metallurgy industry. This is the title of the project. I am Carmen Perea, the project coordinator, and I am here also with my partner, Bárbara Fernández from the industry from CELSA. Well, let us start with ALCHIMIA. ALCHIMIA is devoted in the metallurgic sector, start in 2022 and will finalize in November 2025. The mission of ALCHIMIA is to provide a comprehensive and effective platform for the metallurgy industry in the European Union to support the transition to high-quality, competitive, efficient, and environmentally friendly production processes, ensuring high-quality products in the steel industry. In the project, this project is led by the industry. Then we have several important participants in the project, end users, and we have CELSA with 3 metallurgy factories in Poland, Barcelona, and France. And also we have the Fonderia di Torbole in Italy. The project is supported both by the research centers in Turkey, devoted to human-centric advice for us for the project. Also, we have BF5 in Germany, a research center, and the Santa Ana University in Pisa, Italy. And then, as I say, coordinated by Atos Leviden in Spain, and with the technological support of Exus, a company located in Greece. But what are our main problems? The main problem is to support the green transition in big European metallurgy industry, with the objective of reduce energy consumption in the steel sector, increase the yield performance improvement, and reduce the emissions in the new steel sector. Also enabling AI application in an energy and resource-intensive industry, and advancing the European Union and artificial intelligence strategy. To tackle this, ALCHIMIA is proposing 3 solutions, or is based in 3 solutions because the 3 solutions are interlinked. First, a federated learning platform to foster data training in a privacy-preserving environment to enhance the model performance, the models that are provided by the universities. Also, to help operators, process operators, and the platform managers to evaluate the economic and environmental impact of the production, we provide the LCA, the Life Cycle Assessment Platform, to evaluate the environmental impact of the production process. And furthermore, we have the optimization tool, a framework, a set of tools, algorithms, and models that allow to describe and solve optimization problems related to the steel making industry. We have created a value proposition canvas to show you what are the problems we are trying to solve and what are the value provided by ALCHIMIA, trying to mitigate the pains in an energy consumption environment as the steel industry is. Also is a harsh environment in which sensors suffers with high temperatures. Also is crucial to detect defects in early stage because it's very costly to solve the problems after. And then we suffer with a lack of data. Then, what the user is trying to gain is looking for environmental and cost optimization, looking for process efficiency. And the work that they are trying to solve or to undertake is look for a green transition for the European metallurgy industry. Then what is the value we are proposing? The value that ALCHIMIA is proposing is, thank you to the 3 already mentioned tools before, I will say the federated learning, the LCA framework, and the optimization framework, we are going to support the process monitoring, facilitating the access to data and to knowledge, and guaranteeing privacy preservation for the factories, optimizing the process from the chemical and temperature point of view, and providing business intelligence through the possibility of benchmarking between plant and best practice, and sharing best practice. To summarize the challenge that we are facing, we can say that the data collection and data access has been a challenge, a difficult task to fulfill. Also, the interoperability, to guarantee the interoperability between the data. Look for the user acceptance and establish the IT infrastructure, and also looking for transferability and replicability of the data. Then the impact we are trying to get, we are working on it. I have to say that the metallurgic industry is an energy intensive industry. Is also said that the consumption of energy is the half of the energy consumption on the European Union. And the impact metrics we are trying to obtain are the reduction of 10 kilowatt hour per ton of the electric energy input, the reduction of the 5% of total oxygen consumption, the increase of in 2 points the metallic yield, reduce the consumption of the deoxidation materials, increase the productivity in tons of liquid steel per hour, and increase in a 5% the circularity ratio of scrap. To finalize, I would like to share with you the lesson we have learned during this project. Also, we are sure that we are collecting more lessons during the validation time in which we are right now. But we have to say that to face new technologies has been a challenge with the industry. Also, gain the trust for the end users, for the operators in the factories. We have to say that data collection needs time, and we have to have passion to be able to get all the data we need. And from the developer's point of view, we have found that to use an agile methodology can support us and help us to be more agile in this case, and to test and fail soon and recover from the fail and start again. And also the data standardization, as has mentioned by DARROW, is a big challenge. And for sure, we are going to share with you more lessons in the coming months. And that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Carmen. As you said, this is a really important project for us, and we think that artificial intelligence can help big European metallurgy industries unlock their full potential while supporting the green growth. Moving on, we have CLARUS, which tackles sustainability in the food industry. In this case, we have 2 presenters. The first will be Francisco Fraile, who holds a PhD in telecommunication from the Polytechnic University of Valencia, with a background in research, innovation, and teaching. He currently works at the Center of Research in Production Management and Engineering, where he leads projects in digital platforms for manufacturing and logistics, integration of artificial intelligence and robotics, and zero-defect manufacturing. Additionally, we will have Ludovica Miele, who is a researcher in digital manufacturing, also at Universitat Politécnica de Valencia, who is originally from Naples, and she earned a bachelor's degree in management of production and logistics engineering before moving to Milan for a master's degree in management engineering at Politecnico di Milano, mainly specializing in supply chain management. During this time, she had the opportunity to study in Seville through Erasmus program and later moved to Valencia, where she finally ended up participating in the CLARUS project. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So my name is Francisco, and I'm going to be presenting the CLARUS project. So CLARUS is about improving the sustainability in the food production in Europe. It's a European funded project. It's coordinated by the Polytechnic University of Milano. There are two other universities on board, Universidad Politécnica de Valencia, and of course, and Tampere University. We have three different technical providers. Engineering, who's bringing data spaces, Ikerland, that provides the MLOps platform, and Node Center, which is a specialist in AI. We also have Expert AI. We have Marina here in the audience. They're covering legal and ethical issues. And we're specifically focusing on two companies. Ardo, who's a big producer of frozen vegetables, and Honka Yonki, who's specialized in meat byproduct rendering. So, as I said, CLARUS is about improving the sustainability in the food in food production. This means, of course, making the food production less wasteful, more efficient, but also at the same time, we want to ensure that that improved efficiency is aligned with the Green Deal Index, that the benefits are both good for business, but also good for the environment. And if we move on to the specific problems that we're tackling in the pilot, starting with Ardo, here we want to optimize the freezing process, and in particular the freezing installation. So their freezing installation is quite complex. They have different freezing tunnels, cold storage rooms, and I mean, I cannot even keep my own freezer organized. So for me, this is really complex. And okay, they're using ammonia as a refrigerant, which is very efficient, but it's also very tricky to handle. So monitoring is key to achieve optimal operations, both in terms of safety and also efficiency. So once we have in place this monitoring platform, this is where AI can really shine. So by using AI, we can help Ardo shift from reactive approaches to proactive approaches to both maintenance and optimization. So using AI, there are different things that Ardo can do. That they can predict and prevent operational errors before they even occur. They can also enhance their detection capabilities, their capability to detect anomalies. But most importantly, we also want to use AI to fine-tune their energy usage, to adjust dynamically the parameters that regulate the freezing installation to optimize its performance in real time. Now, if we move on to Ardo, to Honka Yonki, sorry, to the second pilot, here the objective is to optimize the inbound of this meat byproduct. This is critical to achieve circularity in the food sector, meat rendering, because the vast majority of the products of slaughterhouses are byproduct. It's a very tiny, less than 50% of for instance, a cow is meat. So here this is a very time-critical process, and here the objective is to, as I said, optimize logistics, make sure that these byproducts reach the production facilities in time, the processing facilities in time. Any minute, any delay that is lost in the transportation means degradation of the quality that can potentially lead to more waste and also less value. So here we are using AI to predict the filling times of these containers at these slaughterhouses and use this information to improve logistics. So I already provided some hints about our approach. We have three main key exploitable results, and the first is the Green Deal Index. This is a core part of CLARUS. It's basically an assessment tools providing methods and guidelines for companies to assess their sustainability performance aligned with the Green Deal Index. We also have the data spaces. As I mentioned, data is the foundation for everything. So the data space is a hybrid cloud edge platform that ensures reliable data transformation and harmonization services, and also a secure sharing of data in the digital value chain. And finally, we have the AI toolkit that provides not only the AI models, but also all the tooling to ensure that these models are put into production, this machine learning operations infrastructure. And yeah, with no further ado, I'm gonna pass the word to my colleague, Ludo.
Okay, so moving on to the impacts and metrics of the CLARUS project, we can have the impacts measured on several aspects. So from an environmental point of view, the benefits are the reduction in energy consumption and water consumption, as well as reduced overall carbon footprint. From an economic perspective, we will have that these optimized resource consumption will lead to cost benefits and also enhance the overall product quality and yield, for example, in the case of on-karaoke, and operational benefits. So an optimized production and logistic process and decision making based on data, and actually predictive models that we allocate resources efficiently in order to optimize their consumption. So the KPIs and targets that the project has set are four, the main ones. So for on-karaoke, we have focused based on 15% of the quality improvement of the materials, because with the optimization of the logistic process and less material, the material weight, less time, and so the quality of the byproduct is improved and doesn't not downgrade in quality when introduced in the production process, as well as protein consistency improved by 10%, which is another parameter to measure the quality of a meat byproduct. For Ardo, we have the overall improvement of the cooling installation efficiency of 10% and a water consumption reduction of 17%. So regarding the challenges and trade-offs, as said, in order to apply AI algorithms and models, it is essential to have data. So data collection, integration from different data sources is crucial, as well as data quality. Then technology adoption from the point of view of change management. So from the point of view of the user to actually engage them to introduce this technology, and also technological barriers from the point of view of integration of this digital technology in the traditional manufacturing system that the company already has. And finally, the lessons learned are we summed up in four main lessons. So the first one, that it's crucial to have standards. So the GDI is efficient index that companies can use, but in order for it to be scalable and comparable among different companies, it should be based on standards. So the power of data, data-driven decision-making, and so data collection and data quality in order to efficiently have this decision well informed. The importance of a holistic approach means that AI is not meant to replace the continuous improvement techniques that are currently integrated in companies, but should be an approach that mixes the two. And finally, the value of collaboration. So the technologies that are implemented in CLARUS, like MLX platform and data spaces, the objective of this is for partners, actors, and organizations to collaborate in the sharing of information in order to accelerate the path towards sustainable practices. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you both for this nice presentation. As an industrial partner, it's really interesting to see how the same concerns are spread across all the industries. So really interesting. Next, we will have tubers, which main goal is enhancing drinking water utilities. We'll have Joel Vanden Bosch. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it well. So here we will have Joel, who holds a degree in business administration and management, and his expertise contributes to concepting and developing robots process dedicated to a broad range of industry, specifically dexterous manipulation in poorly structured and dynamic environments. Additionally, we will have Nikos Panagopoulos, who is a senior engineer with over 9 years experience in developing hardware and firmware for embedded systems for non-destructive testing technologies. So the floor is yours.
Sorry for the complicated name. And let's start with tuber project. Okay, so what is tubers? Scalable and modular robotic tools for pipeline inspection and repair, 2-in-1, inspection and repair. And it's about pipeline, drinking water pipe distribution. And I will show you that in a simplistic way, knowing that we put the TWI LS logo, but Nikos has the interesting idea to change the company. I know it has a new name. He will explain that by himself, so not to worry. All right. So what is the problem we address here with tubers? Tubers is about the problem you will find in the drinking water distribution pipeline. Over time, this is subject to leakages. And the type of distribution networks that we're looking for is not the pipe that you have in your house, in your garden. It's not the pipes that you find in the water pipe. It's in between. So the distribution pipeline that connect the user to the water plant. And we're talking in Europe, in big Europe, it's about over 4 million kilometers in order to distribute this potable water. And on average in Europe, it's about 20% of this water loss. So the water companies, the municipalities, they are producing 100 cubic, 100 whatever, and 20% on average, 20% of this 100 cubic are never reaching the user. So they have to produce this additional 20%, so to speak, free of charge. You will see what it means. It's on average. In certain areas, certain country is on 3-5%. In other areas, it's far more than 20%. So it represents only in Europe a billion of cubic meter of water, unfortunately, waste. And it's possible to repair those leakages in a very conventional way. Basically, you'll be able to repair a certain number of leakages, but you still have 20% average. And the penalty of doing that is that in most of the case, you'll be, like you see in the picture, you'll be interfering with the traffic and the public ways, or you're going to have to stop the service for a couple of minutes, a couple of hours, depending on the technology is the problem. So this is the problem we want to eliminate, right? Sorry, I'm going to the other side. So The idea is to have a robotic as a solution where you have these robotic carriers that can be introduced into the pipe network that you see on the right side of the picture. And these robotic carriers will carry the instruments and the toolings that you need in order to identify the leads, label the leads, and in the end, repair the leads when it's repairable. Those robotic as a solution carrier are able to work in service, meaning there is a motor inside. We don't enter service, and if we can introduce a dry point into the pipes, then we don't have the problem of interrupting traffic. So that's the whole idea. For certain IP reason, we cannot show everything about the solution we are working on. So don't worry about that. And you also have on the below side of the slide the participants in this project. So we have 3 Dutch motor companies who are working with us and providing use case and everything like that. Very quickly. So, all right. Now, why is that important? Why do we care about that? It's only drinking water after. Well, okay, the penalty is that basically in order to produce this extra water, in order to satisfy the demand of the user, you can translate that into energy loss. So it means that if we able to do what we want to do, eliminate these problems, in a 5-year period, when we'll be on the market, we're gonna eliminate over 150 gigawatt hour of power, because producing water, drinkable water, means energy. You need energy. And the more energy efficient you are in distributing water, so avoiding those losses, the more competitive you are in the growth term, sorry. And this means everybody is more happy in the world we live in. So the goal there and the sustainable goal will be to eliminate this 150 plus gigawatts an hour over the period of 5 years, which result also implicitly in 70,000, 79,000 metric ton of CO2 emission. So also as a result, you lose less water, more than 10 million cubic meter of water per year, which eliminates a lot of non-renewable water, depending on the possible price. Some region is going to be 0.5, about 0.5 euro per cubic, in other more than 1 euro per cubic. Let's give you an idea. To give you reference point, if you look at the literature, when we talk about 150 gigawatt hour, the population of Paris city requires around 50 gigawatt hour, 15, sorry, for running their activities. And if you introduce the public transportation, the lighting of the Eiffel Towers and the Olympics, it could cost more than 150 gigawatt hour for the whole year. That's to give you a reference. All right, so that's the main benefits. That's all right. Now, I will walk you through the value proposition canvas, just to mention that as with the other project in the cluster, we went through the same process. And so this is the resume. We can elaborate in the question about how we work out the value proposition canvas, but it's really concentrated in all cases in the energy efficiency for these water companies in order to be more competitive in the broader sense. All right. Okay. Now let's have a look at the remarkable insights. So what I've been surprised at works in the way. Engagement with water utilities and municipalities. So basically, we were a little bit afraid that it would be difficult to talk to these people But that's not the case. So we got a lot of contacts, and it's very interesting what we can discuss. Second point is the prototype. We're actually building a prototype. So at the beginning of some aspect, we didn't know how we're going to do it. Now we know how we're going to do it, and we're executing. So it's really possible to build a prototype to address this kind of situation. And the third point is about the value and the business case. Yes, water companies, utilities, and the contractors, they all confirm this is important, not necessarily the top priority problems they face, but this is important. And there is a value, a business value for them in avoiding those leakages because of the penalty you saw on the non-refined water. More importantly, according to what we found so far, the energy consumption and conversion. Keep it simple. Now, in terms of challenges, and where we sometimes scratch our heads, you're going to have the whole challenges in moving from, or let's compare the prototype that we'll come up with and the ideal robotic as a solution type of things we want to do in order to delight all water utilities. And I put it between brackets, including all the regulatory aspect, because we're talking about drinking water, so you have regulation, and the regulation are not written, taking into account that we could have one day robotic as a solution doing something in the pipe that we can contact with drinking water. But that's not the only complexity. It's also complex and difficult because each case is unique, even for a single municipality or water company. Each section of the network could be different. Different main pipe, metal, it could be plastic, built and installed at different eras, facing different using patterns and everything like that. So you have a lot of customization, adaptability to think of. So that's a real challenge. We don't try to have one solution that fits all, but we can't have individual solution for individual case. So that's the challenge. Now, the second challenge is that with what we have in mind, robotic as a solution will be able to collect a lot of data, visual data from what is happening inside the pipes. It's something new. There is practically no data available to water companies and municipalities on these aspects so far. So that will be very valuable. But it's not because you create valuable data sets that you can turn that into something immediately useful, because you have to understand. And the understanding of the degradation mechanism happening inside this pipe leading to leaks, which is something fundamental you like to understand in order to get one step ahead into getting into action before the leaks happens, for example, in the road future. But the understanding of these mechanisms are like scratching your head. We don't claim we have an explanation for that. We have to accept that. And the third challenge, it's about business case to pricing. So we have an idea about the business case, even though we don't have a prototype yet, and even though each water companies has its own use cases, so to speak. But still, we have a fairly good idea of what can be a use case and a business case. Now, how can we translate that into pricing, knowing that we don't want to price the product, we want to price the problem and the solution for the problem. For some areas, it's very straightforward because it's about energy consumption, it's about tangible non-refined water that you eliminate. In some cases, like you're getting more data that you can use in order to optimize your maintenance activities and the progressive replacement and upgrading of your networks. How much value is that? Is that million, 10 million? That's where we are struggling in pricing for it. And I think if I'm on the right side, yes, this was what I can tell you about tubers. Nikos is with me also to answer the question. And because we have these funny names, we put our names and contact details there. So you can have it. But there you go.
Thank you for the nice presentation. I would make a last remark on it, but you covered everything, so I'm just going to wait and see if the audience has any question about it. But first, last but not least, we have Reclaim, the project that is working on solid waste material recovery. For that, we will also have two presenters. First, former climate journalist Abby. I'm going to skip the name, sorry. We have Abby, who is now a technical communication coordinator for the EU-funded projects at the International Solid Waste Association in Rotterdam. Passionate about addressing plastic pollution, he leads community-driven challenge through plugging, a unique blend of jogging and trash collection. With a diverse group of volunteers, he turns everyday runs into plastic cleanups, fostering sustainability communities. Additionally, we have Bart Engelen, who is a PhD researcher at the Automation, Computer Vision and Robotics and Life Cycle Engineering Research Group at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering of KU Leuven, Belgium. In 2020, he earned a master's degree in mechanical engineering from the KU Leuven. His research is centered on advancing repair technology and acquiring the necessary insights to optimize robotic systems for waste sorting applications. So please go ahead.
Thank you for the introduction, Bárbara, and thank you to all the presenters who have presented the results before me. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Abhi, and I work for the International Solid Waste Association. We're a not-for-profit association that presents the voice of the waste and resources sector. And by that, we mean that we try to get waste management stakeholders onto one platform. And what we also do is communications and disseminations for EU-funded projects that relate to waste management. And that's why I'm also here. As for Reclaim, we are trying to develop the world's first AI-powered robotic material recovery facility in a box. Now, here's the thing, but we are thinking outside of it, and I'll tell you in a moment how and why. We're a consortium of 10 partners from 5 EU countries, 4 from Greece, and the rest from the Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, and Malta. Now, recyclable materials recovery is one of the key objectives of the circular economy, but also the EU Green Deal. Typically, recyclable material recovery operations are performed manually and in highly urban-centric material recovery facilities, which are situated very close to dense urban areas. And thanks to, of course, advances in AI robotics, most of these processes of these MRFs are now highly efficient and automated. But here's the thing, these centralized MRFs are typically looking at large waste volumes, and therefore they are frankly quite impractical and expensive for waste recovery in small, remote, inaccessible regions. And what we also see is that, for example, the transportation of waste to these urban-centric facilities is very costly and is also energy intensive. And what complicates recycling further is the fact that waste compression is an issue, and it creates recycling challenges. What the current system, which is the urban-centric MRFs, are not able to cater to is the occasional waste volumes that, for instance, is generated, let's say, when there's a natural disaster, or in fact, even during high-ticket events, let's say sporting events in stadiums or even concerts. So, of course, responding to these challenges, the industry realized that they need to have a very flexible robotic solution that is catering to very specific contexts and localized solutions. Of course, we know that portable units demand is quite a at this point. People have ideas on what it means when they say portable robotic material recovery facilities. But what it lacks is smart automation. And the system still relies very much on manual waste recovery, which is also quite inefficient. And so, let me present to you the Reclaim solution. This is what we're trying to plug the gap in the industry by creating the world's first AI-driven portable robotic low-cost material recovery facility that is capable of doing decentralized, or let's say local scale material recovery anywhere. You can deploy this container anywhere in the world. And what we're really trying to do is enhance local scale material recovery activities. And we hope to attain industrial level efficiency while doing so. We're going to quickly show you a small project video that we made very recently of our project's innovations. And from here on, I will hand the mic to my colleague Bart, who will take you through all the project's technical aspects. Thank you.
Apparently the video didn't want to play, but that doesn't matter really, because we just want to take you inside of the container, of which you can see some snapshots on the right. So as Abhi told you before, we're building a portable robotic recycling station, basically a facility. And within this portable system, this container basically, we have some technological novelties basically. Or novelties, I mean, state-of-the-art elements. One of those is the vision system, as you can see hanging here. Our vision system in a container is consisting of two units, basically, one hyperspectral imaging system and an RGB imaging system. And they feed basically information to our artificial intelligence that then detects, localizes, and identifies the waste products that are on the conveyor belt that enters the machine. After this identification and localization, there is an algorithm that is then assigning all of the unique products or problems, like products basically, to one of the multiple robots that are integrated in this container. All of the containers, all of the robots within this container are equipped with camera systems, of course, to manipulate the waste. But the novelty in our project is that one, the robots are specifically designed to be low cost and quite low footprint within the container, because there obviously is not enough space to have big robots inside the container. And on the other hand, we try to use a set of grippers that can work together basically to have an efficient grasp on all the different waste materials and machine. What you can also see is that the container is can lift itself up basically. Why is this the case? It is to prevent the need for a crane to lift on a lorry or a truck. So it can be transported to the local locations. On the other hand, also it lifts up the container, so like waste bins can be placed under this container to capture the sorted waste. And I mean, the idea here is that we want to make a system that is as transportable as possible. And in this case, it can be used offsite, like Abhi also said, and it can also be used for different purposes that maybe have even a better economical business case, let's say, by, for instance, sorting metals, woods, fractions, and other products like vegetables or fruits. But in any of the cases, the main goal of our system basically is eliminating transportation by sorting right at the origin of the waste or the materials are created in general. And by eliminating this transportation, we also eliminate the transportation cost, but also the impact of transportation. Traditionally, the waste that was generated on the specific islands, for instance, was transferred to the mainland or to a big material recycling facility. And after this, there is a specific residue that cannot be sorted. And this residue, by law, has to go back to the origin when it has to be treated. For instance, incinerated or landfilled. And here you can see like twice the transportation of a waste material that could be eliminated by sorting at the location basically of the origin. Also, typically there's around 40% of residue after sorting. And by integrating the state-of-the-art AI and multiple detection units, we also hope to reduce the residue level. So we can reuse more materials, be more circular basically, and have less materials that will end up in landfill, be incinerated. But then, for the use of AI, we need data. And this data has to be discussed in multiple workshops today, and especially the lack of data or the problem of gathering the data. And for this reason, one of the partners in the project is University of Malta, and they are developing a recycling game, basically. And the idea of this game is twofold. On one aspect, the idea that this game is educating citizens that are playing the game, because they learn about the different materials that are in our waste, basically, and what should be in the, let's say, packaging waste, or what should not be in there, for instance. And on the other hand, we use like the system of the majority vote, basically, to, for instance, detect on a picture or mark on a picture the different waste units. And the idea is then that by having this, all these markings by the users, basically, we get some data on where possible waste items are. Basically, providing data for mass scarcity management, for instance. Why is it useful? Like I said, for educating citizens that are playing the game, but on the other hand, also basically creating data sets of waste that's being found basically in our bin from day to day, especially because the waste in our bin is constantly changing. Since new products have the end of life, basically all the products we daily have in our hands will at some point have an end of life and will be new to a system like the system we develop. And that's why we need constant innovation in our data set as well. By eliminating this transportation and providing a robotic sorting facility, we hope to recover up to 6,500 waste items per month. And we can reduce the CO2 emission of all the transportation by 1.6 metric tons. Especially for this transportation, 26% of the fuel usage during the transportation is reduced. And the recycling process can go up to 12% faster since we do it locally at the spot of the origin of the waste. But of course, we have some challenges and trade-offs. One of the challenges, or the most prominent challenge, is basically the content of the waste stream. Because especially, for instance, in very touristic environments, sorting has not always been done perfectly by the citizens. And on the other hand, also the waste stream composition is constantly changing. The products that are entering the waste stream are constantly changing. So we have a big challenge to prevent machines from getting clogged or getting blocked. That's why some pre-processing is still needed by some manual operators. And of course, we have to keep generating data so we can identify the different objects. On the other hand, also, all the new objects that enter the system, the big variety of the objects need to be manipulated. And for this, we need the right grippers at the right moment. So constantly evaluating what kind of waste is entering the system is very important to know what kind of grippers have to be installed, have to be used basically to manipulate our waste. What did we learn? Processing waste in remote areas costs a lot. And what do we mean by that? Well, all the waste has to be transported, has to be packed, compressed, and moved. And this is not ideal. By having a system that we can employ, we can reduce this cost. Also, a small percentage of improvement can have a massive effect. Why? Well, like I said before, all the products we use daily are having an end of life and will end up in a bin at some point. So even a small changes, a small improvement in technologies we have to sort is making a massive difference. Also, by providing a new baseline for researchers to develop new techniques of tomorrow. And the data games, for instance, is also something that might sound a bit odd, but we have to find ways to include citizens in identifying the objects that we are finding or bin. And we have to find ways in general to get new data to make our systems more efficient. And with this, I would like to thank you very much for the attention. And if there are any questions, feel free to come to me or to Abhi afterwards. We would be glad to discuss it with you and see whether we can help you or can give you some more information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for these really nice presentations. Before the session ends, I would like to ask the audience if you have any question that you would like to ask the different projects. If not, I have some. Okay. Yeah, I think that one can stay here and then the other one will.
Yeah, perhaps I missed the last presentation, the computer game recycling. Is that to recycle data or was it something else?
No, can you hear me? The idea of the recycling game is basically to deploy a game in the App Store, let's say, where the citizens can download or that schools can use to educate, and so people can interact with a game about waste in general. So the idea there is that there are mini games where the user can play a game and where you can, by playing the game, waste objects are selected, for instance. I mean, just to give an example, you could do some play pigeon shooting, but then instead of having a bird flying, that can be a bottle flying. And by having the user click on the bottle, the click let us know where the bottle is in the space or in the image, basically. And that could help us with masking similar bottles in the recycling system. So basically, the game is helping us with providing new data that we can use to train our algorithms that we use in the system. On the other hand, there are also in the game some pop-ups for extra points, for instance, when we ask the citizen or the user to select a bottle or a PMT bottle, like a PET bottle. And then we provide multiple options. And by having them click on the PET bottle, we can also, again, label a specific mask as being PET, for instance. And that way we can generate labeled data. While the citizen at some point can also some feedback, because due to the effect of majority voting, we know which object has the highest probability of being PET. And we can give feedback to the citizen saying, we think you were wrong here, this is not a bottle, this is something else. And that way we can also educate the user of the game which materials are present in the waste bin at first, and then also which of the objects is made of a specific material.
Yeah, excellent ideas. In Finland, we have solved it this way that we pay 15-cent fine for the bottles and they are collected away. The problem is that there is a lot of other garbage around, and we have arranged with kind of garbage runs. So every time you go out walking or running, you take a basket with you and then you pick all the rubbles which you can find on the way. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question. And I think it's a very nice initiative to gather waste like that. That's exactly what we try to achieve with the game. We try to motivate people to be aware of the waste that they have and how to recycle it, basically, or where to put it.
Okay, that's... I think this is going to be, we'll try to squeeze a few more questions, but not so much because we have to finish in 5 minutes.
Yes, thanks for the presentations. I've heard that you're using a lot of AI in your projects to solve these challenges, sustainability challenges. But now we're seeing a lot of more and more evidences of AI being the problem, creating even more footprint, especially with LLMs and the big companies even considering using their nuclear energy to for the data centers and so on. Is it something you are looking into in your projects in particular, or maybe you have some just general thoughts on how the whole field is developing
it is relevant. And if from a tuber's perspective, I think it's we look at that step by step, because we don't have the data set we would like to have today. So we need the prototype in order to start building data set that are really meaningful. For the moment, we work with what we call synthesized data. So it's not really important in terms of consumption in data center. It has a certain data center consumption, but not that much. But obviously, if we're successful and will be operating in the whole network, so more, 4 million kilometers, something like that, then we're gonna generate beta and more than beta type of data sets, and we will have to look at that more deeply, of course. Nikos, I don't know if you want to add something with the instrument.
I think Joel covered the tuber's perspectives, and like you said, we're generating new data right now, so we're not using existing databases. So from the tuber's aspect, we can't say we're actually harming the environment in that way. Good question. I think also from DARROW perspective, these LLM models usually have petabytes of data and even more. We're dealing with much less information, and I think most of the training process is not so much or so energy consumption, doesn't have so many requirements. And most of the solution, for example, in our case, or what we aim to do for future, or to transfer the knowledge we are generating to more wastewater treatment plants, is to apply transfer learning. So although we need to retrain with the data, it's much less the process. It's like 1% of the computation power you need to do transfer learning than to learn again the complete model. So we're also taking that account. For one part, the retraining require less energy, and for the other part, we are dealing with models much less, like thousands of millions of times smaller. And LLM needs a server. Most of the after training, most of our deployed system needs a simple laptop, like a small computation power.
Yeah, that's a really nice question. So from CLARUS, we're encouraging the use of green AI. So when we, for every AI task that we need to solve, we benchmark different candidate solutions, and we prioritize those that have a few that require fewer computing power, because at the end it also means lower carbon footprint, right? And specifically for LLMs, we are using the different pre-trained models for time series forecasting with a few shot or zero shot approaches. So the model is already trained. You use a few samples to get insights on data, and that's not very computing intensive.
Yes, thank you for the question. I will say that we are aware of the energy consumption of artificial intelligence, and we try to solve these problems not only in this project, but in other contexts, trying to last the jobs in hours that the consumption or the cost of the energy is cheaper, and try not to share the system in some ways. And also, as the industry in which we are working is so intensive in energy, we think in energy waste or expensive, we think we are helping to improve and to reduce the consumption in our minds.
maybe one more comment. It's a very, very important question. You have to realize that this prompting on a big LLM has an impact. For the retrain case, we will run our models locally on a computer within a container, and it will be also, for a big part, be powered by green energy in that sense. There will be solar panels on the plant where the container will be running. While on the other hand, I think for all of us, we can also think about the offset we make by implementing AI. It's not that we're implementing something for fun, where you prompt users questions just for amusement. I think in all of the cases, we use AI to prevent bigger loss or bigger impact from a secondary effect, for instance, the waste. If we can sort better and we have 20% better sorting due to AI, this 20% on all of the waste generated in a specific location has an enormous impact, way more than the computer running in this container. But it's a very relevant question. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. We have run out of time. Just as a summary, we have had different projects, we have had different industries, different use cases, but we see that there is a common ground within the entire European industry to comply and achieve this green transition. So, well, it's nice to know that even though the industries might not be the same, the challenges are the same, and the way of facing it can also be the same. So we hope that we have changed your mind and you think that sustainability can be a driver for cost optimization in the European industry. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for your nice presentations.
Now it's time for a coffee break. And at 4 o'clock, there is the closing session where all these